Start off this guide, I'm going to run through each of the certifications, advantages and disadvantages to help you build your own lib. First on the list is Acquisition Timer. This is by far, in my opinion, the most important one you can have, because the more points you've got in it, the faster you can respawn a lib, the more time you can spend in the air. I would always put certs in this above pretty much most of the other things, bar a few of them. Second on the list is the utility slot, which comes with decoy flares, ejection, afterburner or fire suppression. The decoy flares just basically stop lock-on missiles once every so often, depending on how many points you've got into them. Obviously, if you have air-to-air missiles coming towards you, this is an advantage to take less damage. However, you don't normally take much damage from ground to air on the lock-on missiles, and air-to-air, it's not really something that you can dodge too much. Then libs will normally take most of their fire from the main gun. The ejection system is bad in general. It basically makes the lib be able to eject from the lib like a Galaxy would, but if you're going to go down, you normally go down the entire lib, or you get a way to repair, so nobody really takes ejection system because it doesn't do anything useful in combat. Next on this is the Afterburners, which is my personal choice. What this does gives you a small burst of speed. More importantly, it will bring you up to almost max speed. Now, this doesn't as such increase your maximum speed, or shouldn't be used to increase your maximum speed, as it is to actually get up to maximum speed. So if you're strafing around a target, you can get up to maximum speed to get out of combat as fast as you can. Last on the list is fire suppression. This is in my opinion, the cheap option of the Afterburners, or if you don't use racer high speed frame. Fire suppression is simple push X to activate, like flares, and will stop the fire to stop the increase in damage once you're critical in red health on your lib. On a defensive slot, we have the Nano Auto Repair, Vehicle Stealth and Composite Armor. The Nano Auto Repair basically heals the lib for every so often after it's been out of combat. Quite a few people do take this, and it is a viable option. It depends how you run the lib. The main use of this is for like light arms fire when moving from target to target, to top yourself up without having to stop and repair. Second is Vehicle Stealth. This increases the time it takes for a target to lock on you. As I've already said earlier, the ground to air missiles don't do a lot of damage, and air to air isn't the primary damage dealer if you're fighting an ESF, so Vehicle Stealth isn't a common one. The last on the list is Composite Armor, which is straight damage reduction from flak. As you may know, as you can see, this is my personal choice. 10% I think outweighs the auto repair, because I stay in combat a lot longer, then bug out and repair. In performance slot, we have Precision Bomber, which increases your turn, brakes and roll. High G airframe, which is the vertical thrust, pitch and agility. Racer high speed increases your base speed as well as the Afterburners. On Precision Bomber, this is one of the other more common ones, I believe. With 4 points in this, the lib will drift more than it will turn. Quite good for drifting around a target at high speed. Rolling and that, it's good at getting your gun at the angle they need. Not my personal choice. I've also heard rumours that with the airframe 3 it handles more like a scythe than it does a lib, and because of the actual weight of it, that's not particularly useful, but I can't confirm. High G increases vertical thrust, so when you put your nose down and use vertical thrust to increase, it gives about the same speed as racer high speed. Pitch up and down is increased, makes for faster, harder turns. And agility, which isn't really listed, although I'm assuming it's strafing from side to side, that sort of thing. And the last is the racer high speed frame. All this does is increases the lib's maximum speed and the afterburn. As you can see, my personal favourite. A note to take is you need the Racer high speed frame and Afterburners running at the same time. If you have one of them, you need the other one. On the front weapon, you have two choices between the L30R Vector and the CAS-30 Tank Buster. The Tank Buster is by far straight better. 2 clips of the Tank Buster will take down an enemy lib if you hit every time. 1 clip will take down an ESF if you can hit it. Zoom, infrared, thermal, not really necessary. Bit of ammo is nice, magazine size definitely nice. This weapon, although it's very good, should be taken for a pilot as a second. You should always keep your gunner with the main aim. On the secondary weapons, you have the AP-30 Shredder, C-150 Dalton, and the L-105 Zephyr. The Shredder is pretty much useless. It's not too bad against anti-air if you're firing at other air targets. Other than that, it's not particularly great. It does okay damage to armor, but you need to put in a lot of rounds into it. It's kind of hard to hit infantry, and it burns through ammo very quickly. On the Dalton, this is the anti-vehicle high armor penetration type thing. The main ones you'll need are thermal or infrared. You don't need both. Personally, I think thermal's better, and zoom if you're doing flight ceiling shots. Reload speed is very, very strong for the Dalton because it only has 1 round per reload. You need to be quite accurate with the Dalton to hit targets because you have to get direct hits on just about anything to do the full damage. Near misses with no splash, it's kind of hard to hit things. The Zephyr is anti-infantry. I would always take thermal or infrared on this. Zoom, useless. Thermal's better than infrared on my books. Reload speed, nice but not needed. Ammo capacity is quite a big deal on this. This does quite a bit of damage to tanks, although you will need a lot of ammo to do that, take out tank targets. And also you can kill infantry. Direct hit, I think, is instant kill, or 2 blast damage hits will kill infantry. The Zephyr is my personal favourite, and if you don't have a gunner that is used to gunning in a lib, take the Zephyr over the Dalton, because the Zephyr has a lot higher error margin. If your gunner slight misses, the blast damage will hit the target. If your gunner misses on a Dalton, you'll do almost no damage. On the back gun, you have the M20 Drake, which is the standard one, the A30 Walker, which is basically used against aircraft, and the M60A Bulldog, which is grenade launcher used against infantry normally. All 3 of these aren't particularly great at the minute. The Walker and the Bulldog is always preferred over a Drake just from pure damage. The Bulldog, I think, can do the most damage against aircraft with a few rounds only needed to take down an ESF. However, it is very hard to hit a moving target with it. If you're going anti-air, most people use the Walker. However, this is less to do the damage against aircraft than it is to kind of try and make them run away. It doesn't do a lot of damage. Just going to show you a quick list, if you will, of things I would take if you just started lib playing and you want to get an okay built lib but you don't have a lot of certs or things like that. First off, if you need to get a Dalton or a Zephyr. Unfortunately, there's not really much choice in the matter. The Shredder is useless, so I said I would pick a Zephyr over a Dalton, which is, if I remember rightly, 750 certs or 700 station cash. That is probably your best buy. If you're going to do anything, get a Zephyr. Don't worry about anything else on here. Zephyr is the real. You need one of those 2 weapons, or the lib is just not really worth it. You got 250 for the Afterburners, with 1 point in Racer, which is 100. You can get 2 points Composite for 80, 50 plus 30. you can get 1, 11, 21, 71. She can get, for 71 certs, 4 points in acquisition timer, which is pretty solid. Don't worry about the front gun, it's nice, but it's not a primary concern. Zephyr or a Dalton, definitely get the infrared. It's only 50 certs. Thermal's better, but it is 200 certs. So get, thermal, get infrared for 50 points. And then 1, 11, 41 points for 3 points ammo. And that will pretty much cover you. On your back gun you can get 1 point zoom, 1 point ammo for 2 certs. Nice and easy. Taking off in a lib from a stationary position, very easy to do. If you just want to take off, you can quite simply just hold W and just slowly but surely come forwards. If you have the Afterburners, you can use them to get up to maximum speed almost instantly. It's a nice little trick. So you get your tail off the ground, point up, and Afterburn will be straight up at full speed. When you come to land a lib, you need to remember that she is quite large, and with holding control to descend, she will drop very quickly. Another good point is if you want to get back into combat, turn around before you land, so that you have the momentum, or you have the angle afterwards to come out. So as you come into land, hold S, nose up, and use vertical thrust to slow yourself down. If you get over a landing pad, put your nose up slightly, hold S and control to lower it down. Just before you hit the ground, hold space. And then just hold control when you're on the ground. One of the most important skills is being able to strafe around a target. This is to be able to constantly move in a circle while giving the gunner the angle he needs. To do this, use edge towards the target, put the belly towards it, and hold, in this case, right. And this will give him the strafe. And then use the wings, depending on where the wing angle is, to maneuver. This will continually give your gunner the position he needs to fire at targets on the ground. Once you've got used to this, you can quite literally just hold whichever key, left or right, that you're going in, and use your mouse to control the angle and direction. One of the most important things you'll have to do as a pilot, and one of the most overlooked, is to keep the target that you need to kill in range of your gunner. You need to remember that your gunner is not on the same vector as you. He is looking down from your belly as such. So you have strafe, or if you need to move, you have to push it so that gunner has the angle he needs. Mostly this will come from practice, but as you go around targets, you need to always keep in mind where that gun can see on the bottom, where your belly is facing, and try and keep your belly facing the target you need to kill as much as possible. Another good point is that if you have a Mozzie or a Reaver on you, the back gun isn't particularly great. If you have a decent gunner, what you can do is hold S to slow yourself down, nose up and vertical thrust, and you'll almost hover in mid-air. This will give your gunner a perfect shot at whichever ESF is currently on your ass. If he's a good shot, he'll be able to take it out. Quite a few times my ass has been saved from the gunner getting a lucky Dalton or a Zephyr round onto the fighter following us and taking it out almost instantly. One of the more advanced techniques you'll learn, and that comes natural after you learn how to pitch up, pitch down on the turns to get away from things, is high speed turns, which you saw earlier as I come in for landing. All you need to do is move forward, turn the direction you need to go, hold S and pitch up. And then straighten yourself out. This takes a little bit of getting used to because of the momentum. Also, you'll need to keep in mind when you do this, you will lose a lot of momentum, and with it you'll lose a lot of altitude, so you do not want to do this when you're close to the ground. This is very good if you need to get out of range of turrets around the edge of terrains, or if you have an ESF on you with rockets, he's just open fired. The main use of what I use it for though is coming for a landing. Go past your landing pad, do a high speed turn, land on the landing pad in the direction you mean to lift off, and thus straight into combat. Few tips and tricks for those learning to get into flying. If you find a continent that is more or less empty, or you have low pop like this, you can do runs from, say, the warp gate to somewhere with a landing pad like Lithcorp, fly over to your place, land, take off, come back to warp gate, land on the pad. It sounds very simple, but it gets you a gist of how the aircraft moves, how to take off, how to land, and generally just how to get from one location to another quite quickly. Quite a few people, especially scythe pilots, are used to flying first person. The only time I really ever fly first person is when I am hovering, or I need to go through a tight gap, or if I'm using a tank buster, because there's no reticle on third person. Other than that, I always fly third person. If you are using a Dalton with zoom, you'll need to learn how to get up to flight ceiling and then basically hover and not move at all. If you're doing this, you do use first person. Flight ceiling is 1,000 meters, so you want to be sitting at about 950. So you level it out, hold S to slow down. When you're almost stopped, you'll be in the single digits. If you then angle slightly up, your speed will reach 0 and you'll come to a complete stop, which will give your gunner a perfect shot. Once you've got a complete stop, level yourself out slightly and just hold space to rise your altitude. As I said, as soon as you hit 1,000 meters, which is flight ceiling, you will bounce, which will put you down to about 920. So you get to about 4 or 5 meters off like I am now, and that'll give your gunner a perfect shot. Bear in mind, infantry don't render, only tanks do at this range, give or take, so you'll need to be in communication with your gunner to tell you when his range is. Leading on to the next point is having a gunner that you can talk to is very important. He'll be able to tell you where your targets are, what he's shooting, whether you need to pitch up, pitch down, turn left, which direction he needs you to angle. If you're just starting out flying, there are quite a few people who are used to gunning but not flying, possibly yourself indeed. If you're going to start flying, try to get a gunner who is used to gunning, knows the way he needs to angle, things like that. They will be able to tell you where you need to angle